Hey cats, what's happening? Happy 4th of July. Just having a little fun out here with some bottle rockets that I picked up, some whistling moon travelers. So I saw an ad the other day for fireworks and I thought, I haven't had fireworks in a long time. So out of curiosity, I went on my computer and I looked on the internet, where's the nearest fireworks store? And sure enough, there was one about maybe 20 minutes away. So I was like, oh, let's go. So I told V, I says, we're going to go on a little mystery ride. Of course, she had no idea where we were going. She's coming up with all these guesses. Are we going here? Are we going there? I said, no. And I kept giving her little clues, but she had no idea that I was going to get some fireworks. Until we were almost there, and there was a big billboard that said Phantom Fireworks ahead. And she said, I hope you're not going to a fireworks store because we sure don't need any of that. Well, it almost burst my bubble, but I said, hey, you know what? I'm going anyway. So I went down to the fireworks store and I got a big box of, well, actually I got 2 boxes of these bottle rockets. So, and they'll last me a long time as long as they don't go bad on me. I'll use them. Mostly to scare geese off the pond. We've used them in the past, and they work pretty good for that, but they're fun just to blow off anyways. But it had me remembering back again when I was a kid, you know, and we used to get fireworks. Now, I don't remember where we got fireworks because I can't see my dad buying fireworks for us. It was just not in his nature. So I don't know where we got them. But of course we had the little lady fingers, the little firecracker things you hold in your hand, you light them, and you throw them, boom. Sometimes if it goes off in your hand, ow, you might get a little burn on your finger or something. But they weren't going to kill you. It might make your ears ring a little bit. But the other thing we had were these, what we called either cherry bombs, which were round, red, with a green wick on them, or M80s, which looked like a little barrel with a green wick on it. Either one of them were equal to almost like a quarter stick of dynamite. The little suckers were powerful, and we knew that. So you didn't hold those in your hand unless you were half crazy. I'm sure some people have done it. But what we would do is we would take an old coffee can. I actually got a coffee can over here that I keep some grass seed in. Yeah, we'd take a coffee can like that and turn it upside down, stick the M80 underneath, and just leave the fuse, you know, sticking out the edge of it there. And then we'd light that thing and run. And when it blew, I'm telling you, that can would literally shoot like 100 feet straight up in the air. And when it came back down, it was usually a little shredded, distorted, with the sides all blown out of it. Those are powerful little firecrackers. We used to have a lot of fun with that stuff. You could also take them and throw them in the water, and boom, they were like waterproof. They'd blow up, a big flume of water would come up. But anyway, aside from the fireworks, another story I'll tell you. I think I was probably about 16 or 17 years old. And I had this friend that would always get me in trouble. In fact, later on in his years, he got in some real trouble and ended up in the clink. So if it tells you anything about who I was hanging around with, it's just a miracle that I didn't end up there too. But he gave me this idea on how to make a cannon. He said, you know, yeah, you can make this cannon and it'll really shoot, and it's pretty wicked, you know. So as a kid, I'm thinking, oh, heck yeah, I can do that. I can make a cannon. So I went to the hardware store and I told the guy there, I said, I need a a piece of galvanized pipe, maybe about 12 inches long or so. And if you could like thread it on one end for me, that'd be fine. He said, "What are you going to use this for, son?" I said, "Well, it's the screw into the end of a pipe, and then it'll be a water spigot, but we need to have it stick out a little bit, so it has to be a little longer." Okay, so he cuts me off a piece of pipe about yay long, and he puts threads on the end of it. And then I grabbed a pipe cap too, to screw on the end. And he didn't ask any questions other than that. But I took it home, took it down in the workshop, and I put the piece of pipe in the vise. I clamped it in the vise. And then I took my drill and, well, I screwed the cap on the threaded end. So it was like a barrel with a cap on one end, and it was just cut on the other end. Up near the cap, I took my drill and I just drilled a little porthole where you would light the fuse. Just like a cannon, like an old cannon, where you had to light the fuse and run. Yeah. Then we took a book of matches. We used that as our explosive device. And we just took scissors and cut all the heads off the matchbooks and packed them into the end of the pipe and just crammed them down in there as tight as we could. And then we put some newspaper and then crammed that in there as hard as we could. And then you could make a little fuse by taping, taking matchbooks apart and just taping all of the heads together. And then you'd have like a fuse of match heads. And you'd tape that to where the port was in the end of the pipe there. And light it and run. And boom, it would shoot. And the newspaper would go flying out a couple hundred yards. I mean, it was pretty good gun. So I fixed it up. I got a piece of 2x4 and I put some clamps around it and tightened it to the 2x4, and I had these like little, almost looked like wagon wheels, and I screwed those on each side of the 2x4, and it looked like a little cannon. And I had like a piece of cord around it that I could, with some spikes or tent stakes, where I could strap it down to the ground, because when it fired, it had recoil and it would take off. So, I had it actually staked down to the ground, and when we lit it, we'd run and boom, it would fire. We started getting clever with it, and we put, BBs in there, and it would pretty much blow a hole right through a 2x4. It was like a shotgun. But anyway, we're playing with it one Sunday afternoon. My brother and I. We're down in the basement there, and we cut the match heads and we put them in there and we packed them in there, and then we put some wadding in there and took it out in the yard and we lit it, and it just kind of went. It didn't really boom. So we took it back downstairs and we tried it again. We packed it a little harder. We took it out. Boom. It went. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try something a little more heavy duty. I'm going to put like 2 packs of match heads in there this time. So we took it back down the basement. And we're down there by the workbench, and I'm holding the pipe in my left hand, and my hand is right over the end of the barrel. And then I've got this steel rod that I'm using for a ramrod. So I stick it down in there, and I'm tamping away, and I said, you know what, the key is you got to get this stuff packed really tight. So I take my hammer and I start, tink, 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 tapping this down, packing it real tight. Well, all of my brother's right there. He's like, right, yeah, put it in there, yeah. I'm tapping on it. Boom! it goes off. Because, of course, metal tapping against these compacted match heads, and it blew. And it shot that rod right up into the basement ceiling. Now, it was an old house, and it was like solid oak, and it just embedded itself right into the floor. Well, both of our ears were ringing. You know, you had that couldn't hear anything, except my dad upstairs yelling, "What are you boys doing down there?" Shooting off a firecracker. Take those outside. Don't do that in the house. I was like, oh boy. Well, at that point, you know, where I had my hand around the barrel when it went off, this finger right here, it pretty much ripped all the flesh off of there, almost clear to the bone. You could see cartilage and flesh hanging there. It was all black, charred, powder burn. My whole hand had powder burn on it. And I was hurting, you know, and the blood was just like drip, 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 drip coming off of my hand. So I go over to the basement wash tub, and I'm trying to rinse it out and get all the black, but the powder, it was like burned into my flesh, the black powder from the match heads, or the sulfur or whatever it is that burns, you know. I got the bleeding to stop just by keeping pressure on it, and I kind of wrapped it with an old towel. But I had to get a real bandage, so I snuck upstairs in the bathroom, and I was getting some Band-Aids out. This was going to be like a 6 Band-Aid job. And I'm up there digging around. Of course, my mom shows up and says, "What are you doing?" "I need a Band-Aid." "What did you do?" Just cut my finger a little bit. I just need a Band-Aid." Okay. So I grabbed a handful of Band-Aids, went back down the basement, and doctored up my finger best I could. To this day, I still have scar tissue in the side of that finger. You know, it works fine. You know, lucky I didn't lose a finger, but I can still feel the cartilage in there, like the scar tissue stuff. So that was the end of that. I decided at that point that it was an extremely dangerous thing to play with. Little did I know how dangerous it actually was. I mean, had that thing, you know, exploded differently, my brother and I wouldn't be here today. We'd be dead. And I think I realized it at that point, just how stupid and dangerous that was, trying to use a piece of galvanized pipe. I think they call them zip guns. Very, very, very dangerous and deadly. So I took the thing. I didn't even tell my brothers because I didn't want anybody to know where it was. And I took it way out in the backyard behind the fence and dug a hole and buried that pipe. And it's probably still there today. In fact, my one brother likes to do metal detecting. He likes to go out with his metal detector, you know, and beep, beep, beep. And he's gone out to where our old house used to be. Now, the house is gone. It was torn down many years ago, and it's all been left to grow back up into nature again. It was all park property. So my brother has gone out there to that site, and he's used his metal detector to go around, but he's never found anything. And I told him, I said, well, you got to go back, you know, behind where the old fence was, and go behind there, over where that starts to go over the hill. And I said, just run your metal detector there. And I said, you might find a piece of pipe about yay long. It will bring back some big memories. Well, anyway, I'm happy to be here today, and I'm happy that all of you are here today to join me. Happy 4th of July to all of you. And it is a beautiful day. The temperature's gone down a little cooler today. It's probably in the 70s today, which is really nice because it's been almost 90 degrees. And we have had nothing but rain here. I mean, it's been like monsoon rain. And my garden is a mud hole. And actually, it's so muddy and wet in the garden that the tomatoes are starting to droop because they're like waterlogged. So with the sunshine today, I'm hoping it dries up a little bit. But like I said, thanks for joining me. If you haven't yet hit the little thumbs up button for me, please. And if you're not subscribed, get on board, man. Hit that red subscribe button and join us. We'd be glad to have you along. I got plenty of stories, you know. I don't know, I might run out someday. I'll just start repeating the old ones again. Add a different little twist to them, huh? All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Happy 4th of July. Stay safe. Have a good one. Eat a couple hot dogs for me and say hi to the family. Till next time, catch you later.